Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, finally, VR that Patrick and Mark don't want to hurl a blue shell at. It's Mario Kart VR and the rest of your Nintendo news for the week of July 18th, 2017. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellis, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell. Mark, you're smiling at me from the other side of the table.
It's going great. I'm doing great. To answer the question you did not pose.
That is the question I did not pose. I'm glad you answered it. Hot-ish.
Yeah.
Today.
But like cooler than it has been in the past.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So like in previous weeks, we've complained about how hot it was. This week we're complaining about
how long it's been hot.
Yes. Yeah. A small but distinct difference.
Oh, I think definitely distinct. I can do like peaks and valleys, right?
We're complex people.
Oh, yeah. Capable of feeling multiple things throughout the course of a week.
A lot of it heat.
Yeah. An awful lot of it heat. Go ahead.
I was going to ask a totally unrelated question that I can pose at another time. I was going to ask, how did parking your car in one of the few areas of LA that has no street cleaning, how did that work for you?
It worked perfectly.
So for those of you who don't know, LA, you can't just like park your car and leave it on the street for a week because they have street cleaning days, and street cleaning happens on different days on different sides of the street. And
it is every week.
Yes.
When I lived in Chicago, it was like once a month or like twice a month street cleaning. In LA, it's every week.
And it's basically every street.
Everywhere. I found a small pocket of Atwater Village just on the other side of Silver Lake Boulevard where you can park as long as you want. It was fine. I got a weird look from a woman who was washing her car this morning when I moved my car for the first time in 8 days. But that was it. It was totally successful. Weather, we've got some guest weather today suggested to us from a listener. Jason Tetley said, hey, how about Minneapolis? Minneapolis looks like it's also going through a little bit of a hot spell. Been in the mid-70s, 80s, really humid. Also looks like maybe there are some storms, so be safe out there in Minneapolis. Jason also wrote in with a question, just like you can. You can always get us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Jason writes, hello, I bought a Switch last week. I had no immediate plans to do so, but I saw one sitting on the shelf at Target, and I distinctly remember hearing your voices whisper words of encouragement in my ear. So it's mine now. 2 questions, Jason poses. First, you both have had Switches for a few months now. Should I get a screen protector or no?
Oof. I mean, I don't want to be the guy who's like, don't get a screen protector and then your screen gets messed up, but I bought screen protectors. I never put it on, and my screen has been fine, with the caveat that I don't pull it out of the dock all that often.
Sure. Yeah. I do take mine, but I have a case for it. So I would say if you are thinking about a screen protector or a case, like case is up, I can make a lot easier case. For a case. Because then you can put other stuff in it.
And I would also say, like, know thyself.
Yes.
You know, because I treat my electronics like my babies. I'm very like meticulous with them. Whereas other people,
I mean, you're cradling your Switch right now.
Right now, right? Yes,
against your chest.
But other people aren't like that, and that's totally fine. Like, you don't need to treat your electronics like children.
I mean, $300. It's not you spent some money on it. So,
but,
yeah,
you know,
I think know thyself is probably the best advice.
If you're the kind of person who's just like, I just want to like throw this in my backpack, I don't want to worry about like taking a microfiber cloth and cleaning the screen off and everything, then yeah, it is maybe worth investing in a screen protector. I think the interesting thing is that these screens are plastic, not glass, so it's not likely they're going to break. You're mostly protecting it against scratches.
Right. And I don't know about you, but I haven't experienced any scratching on mine.
No. And it's one of those things where, like, remember when it first came out, people were worried about the dock scratching it, and that has not really turned out to be a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I personally don't have a screen protector on mine, but I can totally see the case for putting one on there.
Jason has a follow-up question. He says, "Is the Zelda DLC something I should wait on until I finish the game, or will it enhance my original run-through?"
I would say wait.
I would say wait on. I don't know, because you don't have to use the Hero's Path mode. You don't have to engage in the Trial of the Sword, and you don't have to use Master Mode on your first time through. But I do think that getting those extra suits of armor early in the game would maybe be more fun than getting them later.
But yeah, I think that's true. I guess for me, the only one that I'm using is the Korok mask.
Yeah.
And for me, the fun of it is that I've already been to all these areas,
Mhm.
and now, or a lot of these areas. There's a lot of the area of the map that I have not been to, but it's just helping me explore in ways that I hadn't explored before. And I don't think the Korok mask would be as rewarding my first time through. But again, that's just how I am experiencing the game.
That's a great point. Like, I think we both liked how the game recontextualized itself with the additions. So maybe there's enough there. I mean, there certainly is enough game there without the DLC. So yeah, go ahead and play it, and also like maybe figure out whether you're in love with this game or not before throwing down the extra $20 for more content.
Yeah, I would at least say, uh, like open up the entire map. Like at that point, again, it just
Sure.
totally depends on how you play. But by that point, you will be at like a level where I think and will have seen enough of the game where I think it's appropriate to have that other stuff.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that makes sense. Or like knock out 2 divine beasts or something, and then turn the stuff
Yeah.
on. So either get the whole map, or unlock 2 divine beasts, or 3/4 of the map and 3 divine beasts. Mark, what have you been playing this week?
The Splatoon 2 Splatfest,
Mhm.
the pre-release one, was of course this weekend. It was 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time, but it happened at different times at different parts of the world.
Okay.
But did you have an opportunity to play? You were traveling, so
I was literally at a wedding. The
While it was
ceremony
happening.
started at 5:30 in the Midwest, so half an hour into the ceremony. Yeah. Anyway.
So I mean, I had a lot of fun, but I had so many connection problems. And I wasn't alone. Like looking online, looking on Twitter, a lot of people were kind of experiencing issues with once I got into a game,
Yeah.
it was fine. I was never kicked out of a game, but I'd be seen in a lobby, and with like my whole team would be full, and it'd be waiting to fill another team,
Right, and then
and
kick you out.
and it would just kick me out. Or I would finish a game and be back in the lobby, and it would basically like a lot of times when I was in the lobby, my team would be full. We'd be sitting there a while for the team we'd be going against to fill, and that would never happen. It would kick us out. I don't know if it was because everybody was Team Ice Cream, and so, which was fine. Like you would compete against Team Ice Cream. I
Right.
think I competed against Team Cake twice in the entire
Nintendo needs to find a better balance here. Obviously, ice cream is better than cake, and obviously, Marina is better than Pearl.
So it was a lot of fun. I've been talking nonstop about how hyped I am for this game. I'm worried about how their servers are going to hold up. I guess I don't really know what the cause of
Mhm.
being kicked out all the time was. I don't know if it was just a fluke, but it does make me worry about when the full game goes live, if we're going to see the same sort of thing. Because it was kind of annoying because you'd be sitting there for a long time in the lobby before it kicked you out.
Yeah.
It's one thing to just like immediately kick you out and then you come in and like the game fills, but it's another to be sitting there watching like the countdown end in the corner, and then it like restarts and then it kicks you out. It was kind of irritating.
Yeah, I wonder if they had more users on that than a normal like test punch.
I mean, I'm sure that may have been part of it, but that seems like a pretty good like
Yeah, like a pretty solid red flag, right?
right, especially since launch day is coming, and I can't imagine that less people will be playing on launch day.
Oh, I can, because you don't have to pay for it.
That's true.
on launch day, or you will have to pay for it on launch day, but you did not have to pay for this Splatfest.
Yeah.
So you were team ice cream.
Yes.
Okay, good. And have you seen any rewards from Team Ice Cream from your play in that, or do we know if there are any rewards from participating in the Splatfest?
That's a good question. I feel like there aren't any reward, or I don't know. Actually, I haven't gone back in since it ended to see what's going on, but I do know that none of your progress or nothing that you accomplished in the Splatfest rolls over into Splatoon 2 proper.
All right. Well, that makes sense. And then there'd be no reason for that to continue. I, while traveling this weekend, picked up ARMS again and played it for the first time without motion controls, just with buttons in handheld mode.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I liked the game a lot without motion controls.
Okay, because that was because you were enjoying it with motion controls.
I was, yeah, and thought that it was precise and all of that. And I do still think that the motion controls are remarkable. But there's something so much more rewarding about pushing the button and getting a straight punch every time.
No, isn't the not motion controlled? You not using motion controls is limiting in some way, isn't it? Like there's less
a little bit,
and like a little.
I think the only way where you really like lose it is that you can't, like, if you're drifting in one direction and then like trying to hook a punch in the other, you can't do that without the motion controls. But also controlling movement with like by tilting the Joy-Con left and right isn't as, I don't know, it doesn't feel as natural to me as just like using a thumbstick. So yeah, I had a lot of fun playing it with buttons. Made it through just the Grand Prix mode on level 4 and level 5 with a couple characters. So I'm having a good time with this game. I like it a lot. I also spent a bunch of time playing Breath of the Wild with my friend Andrew, who is also now a proud Switch owner. Yo, Andrew. And he's got an obsessive personality. So he was like, "Why isn't your Hyrule compendium filled?" I said, "Filled? What do you know what you have to do to fill the compendium is take pictures of stuff, right?" So we spent the better part of Saturday taking pictures of stuff all over Hyrule. It was so much fun, Mark.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't explain why it was so much fun, but it was like another reason to go back and hit every single corner of Hyrule. I fought my first Molduga.
Oh, wow. Out in the desert?
Out in the desert, yeah.
This sounds like a dangerous road to go down, though, because at some point you're like, I have 75% of the compendium. Now I need to get that last 20.
Yeah.
If you are obsessive, that seems like a dangerous road.
And that's about where I am now.
Whoa.
I have all of the materials, most of the creatures, like 90% of the enemies, but like a sad percentage of the weapons, because there are so many weapons in this game. So I don't know. I think I have to wait for Andrew to come around so we can keep working on that. Anyway, that's what we've been playing this last week. Mark, let's move into the new releases and get a hint of what we might be playing next week.
So July 20th on the Switch eShop, Physical Contact Speed is coming out.
Okay.
And do you know Speed the card game?
Oh, is that what it is?
I believe that's what it is, yeah.
Okay.
And then...
Do you know Speed the Bus?
I'm familiar.
Yes.
And then the Neo Geo game of the week is Samurai Showdown.
Great.
SHO.
That's right.
An important note.
Yes, it is.
So I guess nothing coming out on today. Nothing coming out Tuesday this week.
That's right.
And then, of course, July 21st, at last, our nightmare is over with. Splatoon 2 is finally releasing.
Which means a bunch of other stuff is coming out with it.
Yes. The Nintendo Switch Pro controller, like the Splatoon edition, with the neon green and neon pink grips that will be impossible to find. Lots of amiibo. The Splatoon series, the Inkling Boy, Inkling Girl, and Inkling Squid are all coming out. In addition, the Super Smash Brothers series is concluding, I think.
That's
with
right.
Cloud, Bayonetta, and Corrin.
And again, it's 2 versions of each one of those. And some of those are retailer exclusive, so I've got some pre-ordered. I forget where and how many, but
In some ways, that's kind of fun, right?
yeah.
Because they'll just like show up and you'll be
Mhm.
like, oh, yeah.
oh, I did this.
And then also the Nintendo Switch online app
Mhm.
and the companion Splatnet 2 service will both go live.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how that all shakes out. And very excited to play some Splatoon 2.
So the weird thing is that I think I have 2 friends on my Switch right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one is in a completely different country in a completely different time zone.
Uh-huh.
So,
And the other one is me.
and the other one is you.
Right.
Um,
We should put our friend codes in the episode description. We should start doing that.
yeah, because
mhm.
especially with Splatoon 2 out, it would be really fun to start playing with people.
It'll be really fun to play with some listeners, and it'll be fun to play with you, Mark, and just everyone. We'll play with everyone. All right, let's take a quick break.
We brought it up before, Patrick. It's hot outside.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Means that I'm sweating.
Oh, Mark, I'm sweating too.
And that means, let's be honest,
Uh-huh.
microbes are a problem.
Tell me about microbes.
I don't know. They're like little bugs that you can't see.
And that smell terrible.
Yeah, they're smelly, tiny bugs. Gross.
The only way to get rid of them, as far as I know, 2 ways, I guess. Shower
Ugh,
on the
who
hour.
has the time?
On the hour, every hour.
Yeah, during the day? No, thank you.
Or get some Mac Weldon underpants and socks and hoodies and shorts and undershirts.
Because they're antimicrobial.
Right, which means you'll be less smelly than you've ever been, more comfortable than you've ever been, and if you use promo code Nintendo at macweldon.com, you'll be more prosperous than you've ever been because you've saved 20% on these clothing items.
That's right. Free shipping.
Whoa.
Satisfaction guaranteed. You're wearing this underwear, and that underwear has microbes.
It won't, first of all.
It won't. It definitely. I mean, I'm sure it'll have some sort of microbes.
Right.
Right?
Sure.
But the microbes you want. The microbes your body craves.
Good microbes.
Good microbes.
Right.
The bad microbes,
Get out of here.
not in this underwear.
Hit the road, Jack. Go to McWeldon.com, enter promo code Nintendo at checkout, save 20%, and then they know that we sent you there. All right, let's get into the news here, Mark.
So, have you ever wanted to play Mario Kart?
Yes.
Have you ever wanted to play Mario Kart in VR?
What?
Because this is a possibility now in Japanese arcades.
This is super cool, right?
So, yeah, Mario Kart Arcade GP VR. So, Mario Kart Arcade GP, I believe, is the name of the arcade version of Mario Kart.
That's right.
And the VR, of course, means virtual reality. Namco developed the game, and it started appearing in arcades in Japan last week, complete with steering wheels, wind feedback, and a Vive headset.
So, I mean, this is clearly one of those, like, novelty Dave and Buster's sort of experiences, right? And we'll never see a home version of anything like this.
I mean, never say never.
Okay, but we will never see but it seems like it's a full like kind of 4D experience, like you're going to see the Muppets in 4D at Disney, where like it's shooting like sensory stuff at you, and it's reading your hand motions,
Shooting sensory stuff.
I stand by everything I said. But the game controls with steering wheels, and it's sensing your hand motions, so you actually throw bananas by like throwing with your hand and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this seems like the perfect application of VR, where you go for like 3 or 4 minutes and then you're done.
Yeah.
And really, the only place this is happening is in arcades, which is where VR has always existed.
Right.
You know, from like the 90s when VR was first here to stay.
Right. There have been a couple times that VR has been here to stay.
But it's like it's always installations in like arcades or malls or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, to me that's where it feels most appropriate, because VR in short bursts makes much more sense to me than VR over long stretches.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think there's something so like intuitive about Mario Kart that like you already know how to drive, A, B, you already know how to play Mario Kart. Why not be like in that seat doing that?
And it kind of takes away the problem that VR has where it's like VR's tracking your head motion,
Mm-hmm.
but in order to move forward and backward, you're just hitting a joystick.
Right.
Right? You're just hitting an analog stick on a controller. So it's not super immersive.
Right.
But with Mario Kart, it kind of takes that away. Or any racing game would like take that away because you're being just like propelled forward. Like in a car, you don't
You're
have to
pushing buttons.
Yeah.
You can still get car sick though. Don't try to read in the car. I hope this makes its way to the States sometime. It seems like for now it's just a Japan thing. But if it ever shows up, you and I need to make like a pilgrimage to wherever that's happening, and throw some bananas at each other.
Have you played Mario Kart Arcade GP in general?
I have not.
So it is Mario Kart and it isn't at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the items are different.
Yeah.
And it feels less. It's not like it doesn't really feel like Mario Kart. Like it does and it doesn't.
Sure.
But it's still fun. And if it was in VR, I would totally check it out. And I rarely say that about anything VR related.
That's right. Normally Mark's like, "Oh, I'll play that," and then someone says it's in VR, and Mark says, "Never mind."
I say not.
Wow.
GameStop, Best Buy, and Target stores are restocking Switch hardware on Friday. That's the 22nd of July for the release of Splatoon 2.
Smart.
Yeah.
I think people are going to make a rush for Splatoon 2, and is a good time to get more hardware out there. I think they're becoming easier to find. Jason obviously was able to find one without even really looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And just anecdotally, I'm hearing a little bit more that the systems are becoming more available.
Yeah, my boss at work has his eye on picking one up. He's a really big Zelda fan, and he's kind of been keeping an eye out for them. And a Target near him had got like 15 in last week, and when he was on Saturday, there was like one left. So yeah, I agree. It does seem like they are becoming more available.
Yeah, so if you were holding out until like it wasn't going to be hard to find one, like this is probably your week.
There are Hey Pikmin and Miitopia demos available on the 3DS eShop.
Cool. I want to try Hey Pikmin. I feel like demo is going to be the perfect amount of Hey Pikmin for me.
So who's developing Hey Pikmin? Is it Artzest, something like that?
I
feel like it's not
remember.
it's not a developer that I have a lot of faith in. But yeah, I agree. A demo seems like a perfect amount of Hey Pikmin.
Yeah, it's Arzest. But yeah, so you can pick those up now. They're free.
Koro is producing a Splatoon anime. While they've made Splatoon manga in the past, this will be the first Splatoon cartoon. The series is coming to Koro's YouTube channel on August 12th.
That's kind of neat. I feel like we're getting a glut of like video game anime stuff. There always is, right? But it just seems like newly relevant for whatever reason.
I just can't I think Splatoon 2 is going to be really, really big.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to destroy Japan.
That it's just going to swallow itself.
Yeah, like I think hype is really high there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it's almost like Nintendo could like sell 1 million Switches this week if they were able to produce enough in Japan by itself. Jason Michael Paul, the producer of the Zelda Symphony of the Goddess concert series, is interested in doing a Nintendo All-Stars concert series as well. in an interview with, is it Vooks?
I think so. Vooks. It's an outlet of some kind.
He mentioned that he had been pitching that idea to Nintendo for years.
Great.
That'd be really cool.
We're in the second part of this episode coming out on Thursday. We're going to talk a lot about Nintendo music, and only a very little bit of it is Zelda related. So there's obviously a lot of great music in the Nintendo catalog. It'd be really cool to see them take that on tour.
Yeah, absolutely. Streaming video app Nico Nico launched on the Japanese Switch eShop last week. No word on it coming to the West. It's definitely more of a Japanese focused product, but it is the first like video streaming app.
Yeah.
Or an app that's not just a game that we've seen on the Switch eShop.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder, it's so weird that it just like popped up and then it's like, will we see more stuff like this? Who knows? You know?
I guess it does seem inevitable that we will get like Netflix and Hulu and things like that on the Switch. And so I use the PS4, or I was using the PS4 for a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have it like built into the TV.
Yeah.
But the Switch is so much faster than the PS4 that
Absolutely.
like to boot up and to connect and to select things and so on and so forth, that it'd be cool if it was on the Switch.
Yeah, it absolutely would. And, like this week I was traveling with my Switch and I brought the dock because, I was gone for a week and knew I wanted to play it with people. Would have been nice to just like have, my Netflix up on the TV and all of that.
But the only I'm not willing to trade the speed that the Switch currently has in exchange for these services.
No, because you can get them everywhere else.
Yeah.
So maybe it doesn't matter.
So if these apps for some reason like slowed down the Switch, I wouldn't want them.
You'd pass.
I would pass. Hard pass.
You'd say not.
That's exactly what I would say. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You know me really well.
I know you really well.
Continuing on that theme, Castlevania animated series producer Adi Shankar has expressed interest in doing a dark Metroid series in the same sort of like anime-esque style. He was previously announced that he was also interested in doing an Assassin's Creed series. So I guess he just wants to do all of it.
He just wants to turn all video games into cartoons.
Yeah. Into like dark anime cartoons.
Seems like a weird fit for Metroid.
Yeah.
I think I don't want this.
I 100% do not want this because very little good has come from Samus talking. Right?
Yeah. No, great point. I mean, the less she talks, the better, right?
Yeah. I mean, part of like the interesting thing about Samus is that she's just kind of a silent protagonist.
Yeah. She's a stone cold, awesome,
killer,
awesome lady. Yeah. That's all we want.
That's all we want.
All right. Let's take a quick break from the news for a regular segment. And that regular segment, of course, is 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. For the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, I want to talk about burns, or like getting a burn wound.
Not like yo mama's so fat when she lays around the house, she lays around the house.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or she's got her own zip code.
Yes.
Or
other types of not yo mama related burns.
Sure. They could be totally non yo mama burns.
But you're talking specifically.
I injured myself yesterday on the toaster oven. It was too close to the wall, and I tried to like move it while it was on, and I burned my wrist. And it hurt and was hot for a long time, and now I've got a bandage on it.
Wow. So that has to be pretty bad if it's bandaged.
I mean, is that what it means? Is that what a bandage means? Is that it's a bad one?
I mean, kind of. If you had just like a not bad burn, you wouldn't bother to bandage it, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna take off the bandage so you can see my burn.
Okay, in your mind, what's the utility of the bandage if it's not that bad?
Well, because there's part of it that like blistered over and
Yeah, that's a bad
is
burn.
like open. Here it
As
is.
As soon as you put the word blister in there, oh yeah, you're gonna have a scar.
You think I'm gonna have a scar
I
from
think
that?
so.
Can I sue the toaster oven people?
No, you're the one that tried to move it when it was on.
But why should the back of this is the outside of the back of the toaster oven? Why should that be hot? Ever? I get that the inside is hot, and I would never touch the inside of the toaster oven while it's on.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna have a scar?
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I would imagine, yes, you're gonna have a scar.
Mark, have you ever had a burn or a serious burn of any kind?
I don't. So I am like really careful. Like
Mhm.
and so I don't think I have. Not to say that you're careless.
I was
Right.
choosing not to extrapolate that from what you were saying.
Not to say that you're a bumbling idiot
Right,
who
right.
touches hot things like stoves.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I've never broken a bone. I've never done because when it comes to like, hey, do you want to do this thing that is even like mildly dangerous or even potentially dangerous? I choose not to.
Right, but on the list of things that I would consider even potentially dangerous, making chicken nuggets in the toaster oven doesn't register.
And now you'll have a scar to forever remind you that that's not true.
That's right. So I was at New York Comic Con one year at a Marvel panel, and it got to the end, and they were taking questions, and a gentleman came up to the microphone who was a burn survivor, and he was like, "Why is it that anytime I see a burn survivor in a comic book, they're trying to take over the world? I'm a survivor of burn wounds, and I've never once tried to take over the world." And like no one on that panel could answer his question. Everyone was like, "Thank you for that perspective. I'm sorry."
That's pretty great. Does Deadpool not count?
Are those burns?
I guess they are in the movie,
Right.
right? I don't know if they are really. Do you know what? I just thought. I just went on this whole thing about how like I'm so like careful and meticulous. I have burned myself, and it was in the stupidest way possible. It was with a cigarette lighter from a car. I wasn't.
Why are you playing with the cigarette
I
lighter in the
wasn't
car?
a child. I was like 20 years old, and I had like pushed it in. It popped out. Dude, are these even in cars anymore? I don't even know if they are. Oh man, we'll never know.
We'll never know if
know.
they're in cars. We were accompanied today by the Austin Civic Orchestra. Thanks, Austin Civic Orchestra. A lot of extra music cues in this one today.
So last week we mentioned that 2K Sports is bringing WWE 2K18 to Switch. And when they originally announced it, they said it was coming out on October 17th with the other versions of the game. That's no longer true. Now it just has a nebulous fall 2017 release date.
But there's good news here as well.
Yes, it's not based on like previous gen technology. It's the same
Right.
game or based on it's a version of the same game. I don't know, how would you say that?
It's a fully featured version. There's nothing in the PS4 version of this that will not be in the Switch version.
Yeah.
We expect probably some graphical dumbing down.
Sure, yeah.
Right. But feature-wise,
It's not another FIFA for Switch situation.
that's right.
On the flip side of that, Square Enix's Tetsuya Nomura said that while the Switch is an interesting piece of hardware, that's his quote, the publisher currently has no plans on bringing Kingdom Hearts 3 to the platform. He did mention in an interview with IGN that after the game releases on PS4 and Xbox One next year, presumably that's when it was released or was announced for a 2018 release. Maybe we can start thinking about other possibilities. Boo to this, I say.
Boo to maybe.
Your game is a year out,
Yeah.
right?
Like start steering it towards multiple platforms.
I mean, the Xbox One
Yeah.
in Japan, what's even the point?
Yeah. And Kingdom Hearts, not in Japan. What's even the point?
I'm sure it sells well in the West, right?
It probably sells fine. I'm just saying, it's a way Japanese series.
What Kingdom Hearts games have you played?
Zero. None of them.
It's so weird because I like Disney,
Yeah.
uh, like their theme park specifically, but I like Disney, and I have never had any interest in this series.
It's so okay, so it's essentially a mashup of Final Fantasy and um Disney.
That's what it started out as.
Right.
But there are so many like spin-offs and things that it's kind of has its own weird identity.
Yeah, well, and so that's what I'm saying is that I think it ends up taking more of its like storytelling DNA from, well, it's taking characters and worlds and stuff from Disney, that it takes its just crazy storytelling aesthetic from Final Fantasy. So like as much nonsense as you could ever expect from any Final Fantasy game, that's going to be in a Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's kind of why it's off-putting. Also at this point, my understanding is that the storyline is fairly convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I'm going to be hopping in to the
Right.
third entry.
No, me neither.
But still, it seems silly to me that the game won't be on the Switch.
And if it were on Switch, maybe we would be jumping in.
I think I would buy it.
Yeah, I'd be interested at the very least.
Yeah. Similarly, Bandai Namco is bringing Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 to the Switch in September. This game was previously released in 2016.
Mhm.
So it's coming out on the Switch about a year later than the other versions. But Bandai Namco and Arc System Works unveiled a new Dragon Ball fighter called Dragon Ball Fighter Z at E3 to much fanfare, and Switch was not included on as one of the confirmed platforms. It again, I believe, is just going to PS4 and Xbox One, maybe PC as well. I'm not sure. However, in an interview, Dragon Ball Fighter Z producer Tomoko Hiroki indicated that a Switch release might be possible if fans showed interest. To this, I say, boo! I hate that. Like, I
Just
don't
bring your games to the
what is
Switch.
That? What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Like, how is one supposed to do that?
I mean, especially how is one supposed to show interest? You
Yeah.
mean? I think he probably means
Tweet
like
at them, engage with their brand.
buy the other game that we're putting out on this thing.
Yeah, I think
which
you're
is
right.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z does look great. I don't know how it'll play, whatever, but it looks like the cartoon. Like it is very compelling in that way. And it'd be super fun to see it come to the Switch. So let's all show interest.
Let's engage with their brand.
What hashtag do we have to tweet with? Hashtag not.
Speaking of fighting games, the fighting game tournament EVO is headed to Japan for the first time next year and will feature 2 Nintendo games, ARMS, which is pretty cool, and Super Smash Bros. Wii U. Smash Bros. Melee will not be included. That's kind of like the fan favorite.
Yeah, that's what the fighting game community is sort of rallied around.
It has for a really long time, but there was a Evo that just ended yesterday, I think, with the champion fighter played with Bayonetta.
Yeah.
So I think the Wii U version is starting to get more coverage.
That's good.
It's like in these like televised tournaments and stuff like that. The EVO Japan 2018 will take place between January 26th and January 28th in next year.
Cool.
New 3DS production has ceased in Japan and Europe. Nintendo has stated that. So this is just the regular sized new 3DS version that we did not really get.
We got it in like
America.
Small
we got
bundles,
it.
yeah.
There was like a Animal Crossing bundle that had it, and I think another game or two.
There was the Pokemon Red and Blue one that was
I don't remember that
super
one.
limited. Yeah.
So even though so basically the product line going forward will be the new Nintendo 3DS XL, the new Nintendo 2DS XL, and then the Nintendo 2DS.
Yes.
And that will be true across all the regions now, whereas before the new Nintendo 3DS, the regular size one, had been in production for a while.
Slimming down the line even as they broaden it further.
And finally, quality of life is an initiative that we heard about under late Nintendo president Satoru Iwata. You might remember this kind of during the doldrums of Nintendo's last couple of years.
Mhm.
This was teased as a product that they were working on that was basically to help you track like your sleep and things like that.
Well, I mean, the quality of life is like a broader initiative, right?
Right,
Like,
but
yeah,
the product they were working on specifically was like a sleep tracker.
sure. Is that the same as the vitality sensor?
Who knows?
Great.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll never really know. And for those of you who don't remember, the vitality sensor was a accessory that was touted at an E3 conference.
In the same E3 conference that Metroid Other M was announced. It was a very confusing time.
But it was for the Wii.
Yeah.
And I think it did plug into like the bottom of a Wiimote, like it used that connector.
Yeah, maybe.
And was just like clamped over your finger.
Yeah.
For unknown purposes. And then later
to collect your blood.
And then later Nintendo said that they were working on basically a new product line essentially that would be focused on quality of life. We haven't really heard anything about it for a few years, but in the most recent annual report for the company, they mention it. They say, quote, "We are working on the development of a new product that improves people's QOL, meaning quality of life, in enjoyable ways. Our aim is to enable consumers to make daily efforts to improve their QOL in a fun manner by making sleep and fatigue status visible and offering various services based on this information."
You know, I've been saying that I need another way for people to know how tired I am.
Sleep tracking is kind of like they're building it into like iPhones now, and I think it's something that you can track with like your Apple Watch and like other fitness bands.
Yeah, certainly
and things
with
like that.
A Fitbit, yeah.
I know that in China, or like, so my fiance is Chinese or from China. And, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
You get it. And I think through WeChat, there was like a separate app you would use, but then it would aggregate the data in WeChat and like share it with all of his like contacts and friends and everything.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like a community around this. I think I would have to see it in use to understand how it would be useful.
It doesn't seem like culturally relevant here. Like I don't ever hear anyone. I hear people like soft brag about how much exercise they're getting, how busy they are, what they eat, almost anything but sleep.
But do you think that's why it's kind of like an untapped market in that regard? Like, do you think if we were more aware of our sleeping habits, we would be healthier because we would because there's like a bedtime timer in your iPhone that's supposed to tell you like it's time to go to bed because you're supposed to get up at this time, and
sure,
like all that kind of stuff. Sleep is an important part of our health, and I just wonder if we were more aware of it, we would be better about it.
I mean, it's possible, but like saying that is it an untapped market? I feel like it's just not a market at the moment. So I guess they would have to invent the market in the States is what I'm thinking. I mean, I want to go to bed right now.
I mean, that's always true. I was just talking about my coworker today how it's like, I'm always tired.
Yeah.
I can sleep for 9 hours and then get up and be like, I could go for another 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a solid 4. All right, Mark, let's move on out of the news here. And that is actually going to do it for this news-focused episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please, we would love it for you to rate and review and subscribe on iTunes. If you like the episode, please share it on Facebook or Twitter. Doesn't matter how little reach you think you have; it means a lot to us. And tag us in those things on Twitter. We are at NinCart Society. And the Facebook page is Nintendo Cartridge Society. And, of course, you can always email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo, and our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. And you can find more of 8-Bit Betty's music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying, not. And sincerely, thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?
The music group The Black Eyed Peas once wrote, "Where's the love?" And despite that song being from 2003, I think we're all still wondering just where the heck that love is. In a world of haters drinking their haterade, I give to you, In Defense, a podcast, where comedians, improvisers, and all-around smart and funny people come talk with me, Joey Berggren, about the things they love. Things like zip-popping videos, eating the same meal every day, the movie Josie and the Pussycats, cleaning people's feet, and the complete works of Adam Sandler. Check out In Defense on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. It's a proud member of the What's Creative Podcast Network. Thank you!